Why, hello, this is Rogueblades, and I am coming to you with some more Super Monday Night Combat action, but this time I will be playing MegaBeth, the new pro that was released this week, and I gotta tell you, I was very excited to get my hands on her in some games. MegaBeth fills a striker role, which for those of you who don't know is the same role that Assault and Carl fill. But I'm not entirely sure I like that classification. I feel like she is an exceptional commando. She is a great ganker. She knows how to get behind enemy lines, and she can really disrupt a push very well. And you'll see in my gameplay, I play her very aggressively. I try to be really sneaky, flank, and try to do as much damage as possible before they even know I'm there. But I go ahead and take offense right out of the gate because her main strength is in her offensive capabilities and her weapons. She's not so much a skill monkey. Her three skills are the discus, which if she hits someone it does fairly large damage and will slow them, and if it hits a turret or bots it will stun them, and it bounces off anything it hits and travels for so many seconds before it just disappears. Her second skill is whirling dervish. And this move is similar to the tank's Death Blossom, except it is a duration move, so it lasts more than just one spin, and it's toggleable, which means you can activate it and deactivate it as you please. And this move is great for doing big damage to groups of bots, assuming it's safe and you don't, or you're not concerned about getting hit by all the lasers. It's also pretty good for keeping yourself from getting grabbed. If you're worried about, a veteran just chain grabbing you, you might just want to try running away while having your dervish activated, especially if you don't have your mobility move. Then it can be really good to buy some time until you're ready to make your real escape. MegaBeth's final ability is called Shoot the Moon, I believe. It's kind of like it's her mobility move. It's kind of like Tristana's rocket jump in League of Legends, if those of you who are familiar with League. She goes up and out very fast, and this can be combined with her rocket jump to go even further. So you'll see that in a few moments in my gameplay, where instead of just shooting the moon, I'll do shoot the moon plus rocket at my feet, and it makes you go much further. MegaBeth's two weapons are the rocket launcher and the ball bearing gun. Now, the rocket launcher is pretty standard. It works just like you'd expect a rocket launcher to work, 4 shots, but the alternate fire makes it very special because what the alternate fire does is it puts a laser sight on the rocket launcher, which you've seen a little bit of so far, and wherever you point that laser, those rockets are going to go. So what that means is as long as you're decent at tracking targets, you can hit 4 rockets guaranteed almost all the time, especially if you have high ground advantage, because you can just put them at their feet and get splash damage if nothing else. And as I said, her second weapon is the ball bearing gun, and that works almost like Combat Girl's nail gun, except it bounces one time. The bullets will bounce one time after they've hit something, be that a wall, a bot, a player, anything. They'll bounce one time, and so you can ricochet them and hit 2 separate targets at a time. So what that means is you can do some exceptional damage to 2 targets, assuming you understand how the ricochet works, or you can hit things around corners. It's alright. It's not something you really need to get amazing with, because her rocket launcher is where all of her big damage and big plays are going to come from. Although the alternate fire on her ball bearing gun is a throw grapple, so that's going to be important to know, because you get near a ledge or you want to get someone away, you're going to want that throw grapple. But now that we've had an introduction to her abilities and weapons, I think it's time we talk about how she fits into the game, maybe what her meta is going to be. And I for one am very comfortable playing MegaBeth like a jungler, although big surprise, I play everyone like a jungler. But the thing about MegaBeth is she can get into the jungle at any time, regardless of cooldowns on her skills, as long as she's willing to sacrifice a little bit of health to rocket jump. And MegaBeth can easily bully other players out of the jungle if she's a better aim and can land those rockets consecutively, because they do massive damage, and if someone gets hit by 3 or 4, they're going to be thinking twice about sticking around to fight MegaBeth. Now, since Spunky Cola is so different, obviously, I didn't jungle right at the beginning. The way I play Spunky Cola generally, no matter what character is, I'll actually stay in lane for the first couple of minutes. And most people, especially higher level players, are usually very afraid to come down here, because unless you have control of top ring, you're asking to get killed by coming into the jungle. So what I'll do is make sure that I push both lanes back and then go in at like the 2 or 3 minute mark and clear as many jungle bots as there are at that time. That's usually a pretty solid strategy if you don't have, a dedicated jungler down there. And I like to play MegaBeth, like I said, like a commando. I like to go after kills, be a ganker, But you have to be careful because if her mobility move is on cooldown, she is very vulnerable. She's not very fast. She has a very low jump. So you have to watch out for being counter ganked. And MegaBeth is actually kind of awkward with her mobility because she has exceptional mobility through skills and through her rocket jump. Shoot the Moon plus rocket jump is so ridiculous in terms of speed and height. It's obscene. But outside of those, she's actually a very slow striker, not very fast at all. And if you can't do rocket jumping, like I failed 2 or 3 times in a row right here, you're just going to eat damage for no reason. And the way I like to play MegaBeth, especially in this kind of situation, I feel like she's a fantastic turret diver. Like what you just saw there, she can use Shoot the Moon and Rocket Jump to just completely bypass defenses. And what's even better is if you put yourself in a place where a turret is still shooting at you, you can turn around and throw a discus at it and it will stun it probably long enough for you to escape. And you'll see a lot of scenarios where I go in for a dive, and as I'm passing an enemy turret, I'll actually throw my discus at the turret just to, give myself some extra time to get a kill or kill some bots or shoot the turret itself. And all the while I'm planning my escape route, and that's just fantastic for her. And that's why discus is an exceptional skill for turret diving. And I really think that as the metagame progresses and as more people pick up MegaBeth seriously, we're going to see a lot more aggressive players who play her like that, a lot of commando style, where I think this character really rewards high-risk play. She has massive burst damage, and if you can sink those rockets consecutively, you're going to be a real threat. But she is a bigger threat, not just on the front lines. If she's not getting focused, if she's allowed to just sit on a high ledge and rain death, she is going to kill everything and make the entire team's job so much easier in a push. And since her rockets have knockback, she's going to be absolutely essential in Annihilator fights, especially on a map like this where she can sit on the top ring and just shoot down rockets at the enemy Annihilator activators just to delay it until her team comes back. On Locomoco, she can use rockets and her alt fire to put rockets straight up into the air and then direct them down onto the platform, which is what I usually do. When I play MegaBeth, I don't even go for caps on the Annihilator unless we've pushed the enemy team so far back that I have absolutely nothing to fear, because I just think her job when the Annihilator comes up is to disrupt enemy capping and to keep her team safe. Because another one of her strengths through her rockets is, especially on Locomoco, you can sit on the pad, and as enemies come up to try to disrupt your capper, you can shoot rockets at them, and since there's knockback on them, that will stop their trajectory mid-flight and they'll just drop to the ground. So that's another thing you'll want to consider when playing MegaBeth. And she's also an incredible duelist just because her high sustained damage and her control through Discus and Whirling Dervish. But one thing that I think you will find that you'll start having trouble with, especially if the enemy players are exceptional players, is good commandos will really show MegaBeth the ropes, because there's just something about the way a good commando plays, their ability to get in and stay in, and once MegaBeth has used her relevant cooldowns to keep herself safe, she's going to be really having trouble keeping assassins, sparks, and wascots away. But if you are finding that you're being constantly griefed by commandos while playing MegaBeth, you just have to remember to be very unpredictable and abuse the fact that her mobility comes through her weapon and not through skills. So you should try to force enemy commandos, or really anyone who's chasing you, you should try to force them to use their moves to keep up with you, and then bait and juke them into a way that they're constantly having to try to use their skills, but you're just having to use rocket jumps. And that'll just be great for keeping yourself safe. Being unpredictable with MegaBeth, very important, just like a commando, so another strength of hers that's similar to commandos. I guess at this point in the video we can talk about her third skill, Whirling Dervish. I think it's her dump skill. It's the skill you're going to upgrade last. It's her least effective. It can be really useful, though, to escape grabs and keep yourself spaced, assuming things like this happen where the veteran comes in and you're worried about getting chain grabbed. And it can be especially useful if Shoot the Moon is on cooldown. It just gives you a little extra breathing room while you're waiting for that cooldown to pop. And you saw that I used it to get away, but then I used it to close distance because I noticed the Wascot on my team was there, and if I got grabbed, likely the Wascot was going to grab the veteran and set up a kill, and that is what happened. So that's just one good way to use that move. Other than that, I find it's pretty average. I mean, you can use it to kill bots, I guess, but she just doesn't need it at this point. But we're getting to the point in this match where MegaBeth actually really starts to stand out. That's when she hits level 8 through 10. She's getting a couple of her skills maxed out, and she becomes a real threat when offense 4 is maxed because she is doing massive damage. And you just saw a good example of what I was talking about earlier with her turret diving ability, where you shoot the moon and throw your discus at the same time, and it gives you 5-6 seconds of just time where you can go and get kills. And I clear out a couple of guys here, and you just saw that too, that really stylish rocket orbiting around that Carl. I was pretty proud of that, totally on purpose, yeah. And I noticed the sniper's low, so once again I'm going to dive, and I'm not necessarily the most comfortable with her moves yet, so I did miss a couple of easier shots, but I went around the corner, stunned the rocket with my discus, and finished the kill. And I'm going to take out this combat girl too, and right now I'm absolutely rolling. I've gotten 4 or 5 kills in 20-30 seconds, and we are really pushing in hard. Although the left lane has been kind of neglected because the right lane's been pushed so hard, so I'm going to go back and make sure that everything is a-okay. And I have a couple of brief moments of pure indecision where I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do, but it looks like both of our lanes are starting to get pushed back up, and so I am going to make my break for their ring. I'm going to go through this little room right here. This can be a great place for a commando player or anyone who wants to try to be sneaky to get down, because, I mean, you've got easy access to a great escape, and there's also Regenadol containers up there, so it makes flanking seem pretty natural. Although I do come in with half health and I have to bail pretty much immediately, because if I stick around I run the risk of getting grabbed or thrown under a turret, and that's never good. So I buy some Regenadol and I'm leaving the room, but then a Wascot tries to kill me, and at this point I had a really good idea. I thought I was going to wait for the Wascot to get on the bridge like he is now, and I was going to use Shoot the Moon to clear the distance instantly and try to throw him off the arena. But my timing was off, so I just made do with what I had, and I actually did get him very low through the grab. But he does manage to escape because Wascot on this stage can practically get anywhere he wants by crook hooking. But this has left me in a really advantageous position because I'm behind them and basically no one knows I'm there. So I'm going to throw my discus, shoot the moon pass so I don't take any damage, and pretty much lay waste to the sniper immediately. And as you saw with the discus, you can disable turrets and give yourself, you know, just a vital few seconds to do as much damage as possible. And through Shoot the Moon, you know, you can quickly close distance, you can flank like that, and once again I'm going to throw it with the discus and kill this combat girl. And as you've just seen, I've dropped 3 or 4 players in a matter of 30 seconds just like before, so she can get on rolls very quickly, especially if the enemy team has been weakened. So always be mindful of your situation, because you never know when you'll have an opportunity like that where you'll have 2 or 3 enemies at half health or lower, and she can make half health turn into no health in no time at all. So, and I see this turret is low, so I'm going to finish it off, all the while moving to where I want to go, because, you know, don't waste time, and her rockets don't have fall off, so there's no reason to not go as far away as possible. And I'm going to drop some bots, and I'm going to try to push in. One of her problems is her sustain in lane is not the best, so you've got to be really careful, because, you know, you don't always want to be running to Regenadol stations. It kills time that you could be spent, you know, killing players or bots more efficiently. So that's just one thing you have to be mindful of. She's a little squishy just in nature, because if she stays in lane, she's just going to get railed by the bots, so just keep that in mind. But anyway, this Carl just hit me with a long-range stun, and this has nothing to do with anything I've been talking about, but I feel like I can bring it up because it just happened. Carl players out there, think about who you're stunning. There's no reason why you should waste your stun on something that far away, because at best you might hit me with one bouncing buddy, you know, you might hit your target with one shot, but obviously you're not going to be able to throw your junior that far, and you're not going to be able to close the distance and really capitalize on your stun. So brief aside to Carl players, don't long range stun unless you have teammates there who can pick up that stun and do something with it, because you're just wasting a skill that it could be better used at a different time, and you might have it on cooldown because you just dropped it stunning someone from a mile away. So just something to consider from kind of a strategic standpoint. and I don't know what level that stun was set at, but it's entirely likely that if it was low level, if he hadn't used that stun on me then, he could have used it on me just now and kept himself alive. But he dropped it, and that's like a minute cooldown or something at level 1 or 2. It's really high, pretty high cooldown on that. So he could have used it then, and that would have been a better time. So I guess I can harp on the fact that you should always be thinking about how you're using your skills and trying to make the most out of them, because, you know, it's always the worst when you drop a skill and then you die 10 seconds later and realize, well, I probably could have used it then and made a lot more gain from it. So just, you know, that's my little rant for Carl stunning. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. But we are finally approaching the end of this match. One of their turrets has finally dropped, and the ball is going to drop shortly. So I guess now would be a good time to just kind of take care of some housekeeping business. With some of my more recent videos, a lot of people were wondering if I was dropping Commando or dropping Assassin in particular. And no, that's not the case. I still consider myself an Assassin main. I really enjoy Spark too, even though he's not nearly as good as Assassin. And I don't really, I just kind of not played Wascott. I don't care for him. I don't think he's all that fun. I think his shtick is really cheesy, and I don't really consider, you know, Wascotts the best players. I mean, obviously there are good players who play Wascott. I know a few, but it's just not my thing. Assassin is where it's at for me. But I've really been enjoying Assault lately. You saw the one video I posted. I've got another commentary coming up for Assault too. And I like MegaBeth a lot. I don't know how much of her I'll end up playing, but she is fun. I feel like she'll get massively nerfed soon, so we'll have to see how she does after the nerf. But yeah, we're getting into the last little bit of this video, so hopefully my commentaries will be a little more not so spaced out. I like to do them, I really do, but recently it just takes so much effort with school and real life stuff. So I'm going to try to get on a more regimented commentary schedule, 1 a week, 2 a week at most, but hopefully you guys like that. And hopefully you guys like the little frag clips I've been doing too, because those are a fun way to, you know, put something out, and it takes me 10 minutes, so always good there, and it utilizes the replay system, so cool stuff. But anyway, that's it. The end of this video, I was just basically containing them in their spawn. I juiced and just dropped everything. And that's something I actually do like to do with commandos, is once the ball is down, I don't really attack the ball, I just go back to the spawn room and keep them down. But anyway, that is the end of the game. I hope you enjoyed this MegaBeth commentary, and as always, stay sneaky. This has been Rogueblades. I will see you next time.